I was a Bob Dylan nut. Still am, by the way. And
I'm with you by that.
When Bob Dylan was
Seriously, can we talk Bob Dylan for a second?
Sure.
Because I'm all in on the Bob Dylan train, whatever that is.
Slow train.
so to the uninitiated, because I'm curious for your take as someone who's, I know you play music, but your life has not been about music. What would you say to the people who don't understand Dylan, since you're a lifelong Dylan person? You were even in a Dylan movie.
Yeah.
Like you've heard the argument against Bob as an artist, Bob as a singer and all that, but what do you say to the uninitiated, what they don't understand about Bob?
Well, the first thing you have to understand is Bob is one of the best singers we have. And you have to understand that it's a singer of Americana. And what's really fascinating is the best voice of the 20th century, the best interpreter of songs, Sinatra, right?
Yeah,
and
I think that's kind of unquestioned.
And Dylan did the Sinatra records. What was that, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, he took on the standards. And
he did 5 records, a lot of material, 4 hours. And he did the Sinatra songs he was 70 years old, I believe Bob was, and the same key that Bob did, that Sinatra did them when he was 40. Now, one of the things that was so great about Sinatra was so little air in the voice, clear tones.
Total tone.
And Bob has a lot of air in the voice. But one of the things that Sinatra was so good at, the opposite side, what the Beatles were so bad at, was understanding what the words meant and really telling a story while hitting every note. Although some people notice he comes in flat and goes up sometimes. But Sinatra, we won't talk about his intonation. It's better than anyone else's, except Karen Carpenter's. But
wow.
But
we're going deep here. I love it.
But when Dylan, first of all, Dylan's pitch is always very good, which people don't ever comment on because the voice is so eccentric. But when he tells a story in a song, even something like Strangers in the Night, which seems like a hack piece of, even when Sinatra sings it doesn't hold together. But when Dylan sings it, there's always a story. Dylan is...
I get that. Okay.
And there's always a ghost in the song. There's always something that's not being said that's always there.
I like that. You're going to send me back to those records. I did try to listen. They didn't really connect with me.
Okay, that's the first thing, singer. Musically, I'm afraid we have to go a little bit with Joni Mitchell. I mean, Joni Mitchell, because of sexism in our country, gets much less credit than Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan.
That's an interesting point.
She deserves the same credit. Plus, she's the best musician of the three. She doesn't, Dylan writes from his heart without ever pretending to write about himself. Joni Mitchell writes universally while always being specifically things that happen. I mean, she pretty much gives you the time and date and person's name she's talking about. Yeah. But with Dylan, his words, which is what you get to, Nobel Prize winner in literature, the words always have this depth. And if you have any doubt about that, if you listen to the, I forget the number of the bootleg series, but there was everything recorded on Blonde on Blonde, Bring It On Back Home, and Highway 61. They have every time the tape was running, and that's now available to us. And you hear him on stuff like, seems like a Freeze Out, which then turned into Visions of Johanna, struggling for the exact word, and changing that in a way that the Beatles never did. The Beatles have the woo, perfect from the very first take through, but the words don't matter. If we saw Get Back, you saw that the Beatles are just kind of, what is the right number of syllables? What is the right sound here? And I realize this gets off the Dylan question a little, but I find it so fascinating. The Beatles did not care about words.
You think so?
Not at all. And I used to believe they did a lot. But further study, you know the song by Chuck Berry, Memphis,
Sure.
which is a short story that has a turn, right? Maria's only 6 years old. Information, please. You find out that he's actually talking to the operator about his daughter and not his lover, and that's it's Twilight Zone. It's just a boom. It's short story. It's it's O. Henry, and you hear Chuck sing it. Boom, that turn happens. He doesn't underline it. He doesn't bang it, but the turn happens. Johnny Rivers sings it, who also had a hit with it. He does that turn. You hear Elvis sing it. Elvis is one of the great actors in music, does that turn beautifully. It's not insulting. He's not telling you, get it, get it, get it, but it's there and it's beautiful and you can feel him feeling it. And then John Lennon sings it on one of the BBC, I forget which one it is, one of the BBC appearances, and John goes right through. I defy anyone to hear on there that John knows that there's a turn in that song. Marie is only 6 years. He just slides right through it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other great example of the Beatles is when they do Please Mr. Postman. Deliver, de-letter, de-sooner, de-better, right? John sings, deliver the letter, the sooner the better, which takes the wordplay, which is from your books, and just throws it away.
I gotta go this homework. I gotta go research all this.
And you also, another wonderful example is Fourth Time Around. When she said, don't waste the 6/8 thing that Bob does on Blonde on Blonde in the Dorian mode.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Right. Is the same as Norwegian Wood. It's the same story as Norwegian Wood. It's the same mode as Norwegian Wood. And it's the same time signature as Norwegian Wood. Because
I never put those two pieces together.
John and Bob talked to him. And seeing that example, John Lennon writes a gorgeous pop hit that's made to be #1 on the radio and speaks right to our hearts with the music and little pieces of lyrics. And Dylan paints a whole short story, a whole poem, and also brings all this mystery in. So I think you've got this kind of depth to Dylan. Also the fact, and as people are still performing, this is something that, well, at least I'm obsessed with. You know, I saw Dylan and Willie Nelson at the Hollywood Bowl.
Sure.
An 83-year-old opening for a 92-year-old. And, you know, when you go there, Willie sings these songs that just bring out the past when we first heard them, you know, even stuff like On the Road Again, which is, I consider a rather new Willie song, but it's really old now.
Yeah.
But Dylan is doing a show that a 21-year-old would do. He's doing stuff that he's written in the past 2 or 3 years, and he's doing new versions of it.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of people in performance that do that. But the fact that, I mean, Miles Davis, Joni Mitchell, Stravinsky, Picasso, no matter how long they're working, they're always finding new stuff.
Yeah, this is true.
Paul McCartney finds new stuff, but then runs back to the safety of I'll do Sgt. Pepper's Live. And he's pleasing people, and his show is wonderful. And I think people enjoy it more than a Dylan concert.
Absolutely.
But for me, there's a kind of depth in an artist really digging in, finding new stuff.
Yeah.